Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 Beer Plan. I'm Brian, and this is the ongoing saga of an everyman's ale trail. In this episode, I'll discuss big beer buyouts, frosty mugs, chat with Ehren Stuff from Harry Stuff Brewing, and review Elvis AF from BrewDog. In this segment of Tales from the Trail, I'm going to talk about craft beer buyouts by Big Beer. This has been an ongoing and hotly contested topic in the craft beer community ever since fifth-generation Wisconsin brewer Jacob Leinenkugel was bought by what used to be known as the Miller Brewing Company. The elephant in the room is this. When an independent craft brewery is bought out by a bigger beverage company, is it still an independent craft brewery? I'll be honest, when I first heard rumblings about this on some of the craft beer groups I'm a part of, I didn't get it. If the beer tastes amazing, why should it matter? Well, in the next 2 episodes, I'm going to kick that around a bit. I think we need to establish what the definition of an independent craft brewery is. The Brewers Association defines an American craft brewer as a small and independent brewer. Furthermore, small means it has an annual production of 6 million barrels of beer or less, which is approximately 3% of U.S. annual sales. The beer production is attributed to a brewer according to the rules of alternating proprietorships. Independent. Less than 25% of the craft brewery is owned or controlled or equivalent economic interest by a beverage alcohol industry member which is not itself a craft brewer. And then a brewer has a TTB, brewer's notice, and makes beer. Well, the director of the Brewers Association in 2018 said the following. The reason the Brewers Association defines craft breweries is to make the point that craft breweries are, for the most part, small community businesses run by entrepreneurs, setting them apart from the mega brewers, who are run by global banking conglomerates. Craft brewers have thrived against all odds, innovating and expanding old world beer styles with the new world twists, and have helped the U.S. become the world's largest and most diverse beer destination on the planet. I think that says it all. So why the confusion? Well, there have been a number of recent acquisitions in the past 3 years or so that have caused craft beer drinkers to sit up and take notice. Back in 2019, Boston Beer merged with Dogfish Head. New Belgium was purchased by Kirin Limited. Founders was bought out by Mahou SA. In 2020, the Craft Brewing Alliance was bought by Anheuser-Busch InBev. In 2021, Canarchy was purchased by Monster, which is a subsidiary of Coca-Cola. And then finally, Bell's was also purchased by Kirin Limited. I also want to make a special note of Seattle's Elysian brand sale in 2016. When news of its pending acquisition by Anheuser-Busch InBev hit the news in 2015, people would visit the tap rooms, buy a beer, and then dump it on the floor in protest. Whether right or wrong, I'm not sure this is the most respectful way of addressing the issue. Let's face it, the definition of independent craft brewery isn't foolproof. Since the inception of the definition in 2006, it was updated in 2007, 2010, 2014, and then finally in 2018. The current definition means that some of those breweries mentioned above still fall under this umbrella. From what I can see, the 25% majority stake threshold is the big loophole. For example, members of the Craft Brewing Alliance, which include Wicked Weed, Kona Brewing, and Devil's Backbone, or Canarchy, which includes Perrin Brewing, Oscar Blues, and Cigar City, still meet this classification. I'm not trying to single anyone out here, but even the country's oldest brewer, Yuengling, entered into a joint venture with Molson Coors simply to expand their distribution westward. The Dogfish Head and Boston Beer merger created somewhat of a macro brewery in the process. It's really confusing. If you're ever interested in whether a brewery is classified as an independent craft brewer according to the qualifications I just mentioned, go to brewersassociation.org/independent-craft-brewer-seal. Anyway, next time I'll share some more thoughts on this complex topic. This week's Hop Hack is about whether or not to freeze your beer glasses at home. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of getting my beer in a frosty mug. That may have been good for my father's big domestic beer back in the day, but it's no good for today's craft beer options. There are a few reasons why it's a big no-no for me. The first would be the taste. If you have an ice-cold glass of beer, it will numb the taste buds. I don't want that. I want to be able to taste the beer fully. Second, no matter how clean your freezer is, it will always retain some flavor or even some off-putting aroma. Personally, I don't want anything to come between my lips and that ultra-complex sour or saison. The final reason would be ice or foam. I was in a bar one time, and the beer actually crystallized in the ice-cold glass that it was served in, and I promptly returned it. Also, from a chemical standpoint, since beer contains carbon dioxide, pouring it into a frozen glass can actually create an overabundance of foam because the ice crystals will quickly expand those CO2 molecules. Now, it's time for Barstool Banter. For this week's interview, I sat down with Ehren Stuff, who is the owner and head brewer at Harry Stuff Brewing in Milwaukee, Indiana. So, Ehren, thanks for joining me. Appreciate you being on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on and everything like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me how long has the brewery been open?
We've been open since Memorial Day weekend of 2019.
How big of a system do you have here?
We have a 10-barrel system.
And then how many beers do you usually keep on tap at any given time?
We keep 8 beers on tap, but we also have a lot of canned conditioned beers. And all our canned conditioned beers are ones that were aged in wine barrels with collection of different microorganisms. So you get your Brettanomyces, the Pediococcus, Lactobacillus. So it's definitely a full-on mixed culture going on.
Yeah, that's what I love about your beers. Very unique, man.
Yeah,
Very
thanks,
unique.
man.
You're welcome. How long have you been personally brewing?
My dad and I, we started probably back in 2013, I believe. Okay. Probably around then. Yeah.
And did you start out with like just a basic homebrew kit?
Yeah,
or?
Basic 5-gallon homebrew kit. We went all grain to start out. It sounded interesting. Wasn't a massive investment, so why not? So we rolled in with the all grain.
Yeah, cool. Speaking of family, so the first time that my wife and I were here, your mom was behind the bar. Of course, you were roaming around. Your dad, I think, was moving things from the back into the front. It seems like it's a family affair. So
yes, it's fairly family orientated. My niece is now working with us. My wife runs the kitchen. So we're family, but we've included some other really awesome people in the meantime. And whoever we bring in, we try to find an inside connection. Yeah, we've had a lot of success with that. Sometimes it's a little slower process, but it ultimately works out a lot better.
Well, I think it's good to find people that you not only like to work with, but people that are reliable, bring a set of skills to your operation here that are going to make it successful.
Yeah, absolutely. You're only as good as the people who work with you.
Another thing that really struck us when we came the first time was the whole package you have here. So you've got great beer, you've got a nice venue, very comfy, but you also have great food. Tell me about the slant that you've kind of taken on your bar food.
Well, for us, my wife, she is from Bogota, Colombia, so we definitely knew we wanted to bring that Colombian influence into the brewery.
Yeah.
So that's why we do things like the Colombian empanadas, we do the patacones, we also try to bring in a variety of different South American specials, because, we want to showcase South American food.
Right.
We do brick-fired pizzas, so it's something you're a lot more familiar with. Colombian food, I think, definitely sets us apart, and it's a lot of the food goes great with beer. I know the times I was in Colombia, walking in the streets. I caught myself and constantly saw people having a beer and empanadas.
Yeah.
It's it's the street food of Colombia and Venezuela, and I think it's something that goes well together.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I'm a big foodie anyway. So when I saw, I don't know if it was on social media or how I discovered Harry Stuff, but I saw Colombian-inspired food, and I was like, okay, we've got to try it. And the empanadas, top notch. I mean, I've never had a Colombian empanada before, so
Yeah,
good
thanks.
stuff. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the chimichurris and some of the other sauces that you guys make
Yep,
from
absolutely.
scratch are amazing too.
Yeah, thank you
So,
very much. Yeah, I mean that's something we plan to continue to showcase. You know, hopefully with time, increase the amount we're doing. Being able to do those specials more often, maybe even bringing more of it to the central menu. I mean, it's a big part of our business. I mean, without the food, I don't think we would exist.
What are some of the challenges that you are facing as a small business in the ever-growing brewery industry? I mean, you can go any town, you can probably throw a rock out and you can hit a brewery typically in some of your towns. And everybody's got to have their little slant. And again, I think the Colombian food is a great way to bring a different approach to a brew pub. Like I said, your beer, I really enjoy your take on your styles. What challenges have you faced as a small independent brewer?
Well, every brewery is going to face their own challenges. Every locale is a little bit different. Obviously, we face some of the same challenges every brewery faces, and that's inflation is ticking up. I mean, the price of pretty much everything that we're using here has gone up in the last year, and so far it don't really seem like there's an end in sight. Locally, our challenges are more based upon our location. We're out on a rural farm, which has advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
Disadvantages: we don't have a central population. So we're not downtown Fort Wayne or we're not downtown South Bend.
Yeah.
So we don't have that instant. We don't have those people that can walk to the brewery. Everybody's got to drive here, which also guides a lot of my beer decisions. We do a lot of lagers here. We also try to keep our ABVs down because I am cognizant of people driving. That probably hurts us a touch when it comes to ratings because people want to have those 10% beers, but that's okay. You got to focus on what's going to make your business work.
Exactly.
You can't always get caught up in what's going to be the best for a rating. You got to ask yourself what's the best business decision. But I mean, the positive out here is, I mean, there's not many places probably in the state where you can come out. You can sit on a farm setting, look out in the woods, enjoy a beer. We deal with our own wastewater here, which is good and bad. We don't have a water bill, but we do have to handle our own wastewater.
Sure.
So the pluses and minuses. I think that's the biggest challenges for every brewery. You got to handle your own challenges.
Yeah.
If you're in a downtown location, you might have to deal with space. You might not be able to have this many barrels.
Right.
You might have to figure out, where am I going to put my grain? Where am I going to put my extra cans that I'm getting? And here we never really have to ask those questions.
You are fortunate to have a nice large space.
Yeah,
I count 8 barrels at least in sight here. So
yeah, I'm sure many downtown breweries are jealous of our space.
Sure.
I'm jealous of their customer base, just the amount.
Yeah.
The customers we do have around here are amazing. So it's not about a quality issue or anything like that. Just obviously you always want more. I mean, I could talk about brewery business all day long because when you're talking to me, you get the brewer owner,
Yes.
and so everybody's going to give you a different perspective in that industry. If you talk to just a brewer, you're going to get an entirely different aspect than an owner. A brewer owner, you're going to get a different aspect. And so whatever you're getting today, that's kind of the vantage point you're getting. Not that it's better or worse.
Right.
It's just that's the perspective I'm coming from.
And I think that's a real big key. My focus, like I mentioned before, my focus is looking at the small independent brewers as much as I can, because I really feel that you folks are the ones that are carrying the torch for the craft beer industry. You're the ones that are fighting for the customers. You're fighting for the people that come into your breweries. Trying to keep things fresh. New ideas.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully people will travel for good food and beer.
Absolutely.
And we always try to do both very well. Not that we ever do either one the best in the world, but we try to have a high standard for everything. It's not just food and beer, it's your service. I mean, I've been to some places and they have great beer, but I really didn't feel as welcome as what I would have liked. But we try to bring all those aspects because we know that, some of these people are, they're driving an hour out of their way to come here. And that's important that they're going to get a good experience because there's no other options here. If you come here and, you don't have good service, well, there's no place across the street. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I'm downtown Fort Wayne, hopefully when I go to that place, I'm going to get those same qualities. But if I don't, I can just pop over to the next place. I'm not out of my way.
Right.
Yeah.
And the flip side of that is if people get bad service, they're not likely to drive the hour. They're going to go, well, I'm going to just go down to the Fort Wayne and go to the cluster of breweries and just go there instead.
Not that it's an excuse, but I think in life we all get complacent, and if you're busy all the time, you might not, you might never reevaluate your situation.
Indeed.
Here we have enough moments to where we have some bad days, and so we constantly have to reevaluate that aspect here, because when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you can be so weather dependent. If the roads are icy, I get it. I close down. I'm not gonna. Who's gonna want to drive?
Right.
But if the roads are icy and you live in the brewery's just across the street, you can walk over there. Sure, I'm gonna go. Why wouldn't I be? That place can be jam packed because I don't have to go to work that day.
And you want to be conscious of your employees, keep them safe as well.
Absolutely. So
how has COVID affected your business? Again, being more rural, as you cough. COVID. Everybody has to deal with this in a different
absolutely.
way.
Every single brewery, in every single state and location has had to deal with COVID entirely different. From our standpoint, we only knew about 7-8 months of what it was like to be open before COVID.
Okay.
And those months were without a doubt the most challenging months of our brewery because nobody knew who we were. A lot of people still to this day pass us by and think that's just, some kind of private club or, just a fancy horse farm or whatever it may be. And it's not until they, usually get word of mouth, they're like, no, this place actually has good beer and food and kind of nice. And they'll actually venture over here and try us out.
Yeah.
So the first 7-8 months were without a doubt the most challenging.
Okay.
COVID has had its own challenges. Obviously the first 2 months of COVID were extraordinarily challenging for every place in the country. To do carry out only.
Yes. Now, fortunately, you had the ability to can.
Yes, we could can off draft at that point.
Yes.
Yeah. We have since invested in a fully automated canner, and so we from the get-go we invested in October canner, and COVID. Another aspect that we have out here is we get a lot of outside space. So when we were able to finally get our doors back open, people really felt comfortable coming here because we have we got a lot of outside picnic tables. So I don't know. I can't relate sometimes to the other places.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was talking to one of the other brewers was just that the service industry during COVID and even ongoing has been held to a much higher standard of cleanliness, of making sure everything is sanitized, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you do like your barrel-aged stuff, so you do keep a little bit more bacteria around than maybe most places do.
Probiotics.
But in general, you're already doing these things.
Sure.
You have to keep your place clean. Otherwise, the health department's going to shut you down. Even if
food
COVID wasn't around.
Sure, I'm food safe certified.
Yeah.
So I already was doing these things.
Right.
I'm already in charge of doing those things at our facility.
Yeah.
When it comes to the brewery, the sanitation, massively important. I really think, COVID was challenging. Granted, the government stepped up and did try to some reasonable degree to help us. Local customers were unbelievable. To me, one of the best stories of 2020 that went underreported was just how many people went out of their way to make sure their local businesses stayed alive. All this negativity I saw in 2020, fine, it existed, but there was a lot of positivity, and that was one of the best stories that people weren't talking about. Unfortunately, I think the most difficult times are what we're encountering now, the post kind of COVID, the trying to find workers, the inflation, and there's only so much your customers are going to be able to help you as we encounter inflation, because they're more strained. Your prices are going to obviously have to go up, so I think right now could be the most challenging period that breweries are going to be facing. And I think we're symptomatically seeing that.
Yes,
we're seeing the consolidation, having massive. The last few weeks, we've seen, Canarchy sell, Bell's sell.
Yep.
I don't know. The list is massive. Even here in India, even in Bloomington, for example. Bloomington Brewery just sold. Function Brewery sold.
Really? Okay.
Just this week we saw, I think that their name's Marine Brewing.
Okay.
33 years and out there in California. One of the first brew pubs in the country.
Yeah.
They just decided to close. Jacksonville's they were like GBF winter mid-sized brewery of the year. They just closed. You're starting to see the signs that people they're constrained by this, and there's no more money coming.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's difficult because let's say we do pump more money out there. The problem is it only is going to, there's more inflation. It's a catch-22 scenario. What do I don't know.
There's no good answer for that. And I think, the craft beer industry in general has been growing at an exponential rate over the past 5 years, let's say.
Yeah.
And I think we're finally, I've been talking with people that I know. It's like, at some point that bubble has to burst. We have to reach that saturation. And I think, if anything, COVID has maybe accelerated that saturation point.
Yes. Kind of the Amazon, as we spoke about then. There was... the thing of it is the days of growing 30-40% for breweries are mostly over.
Yes.
There are exceptional few. There's the tree houses of the world, but it's mostly over. And the reason, my contention always is the reason the bubble's not fully bursting is for a couple factors. One of the big factors is the brewery has become your local watering hole pub type of place. And that's why most of us, very few breweries out there exist without food. Food and, most breweries have become they've also have a very delicious food side that are bringing people in. Some have transitioned to doing distilling. Some, offer a lot of wine, or they become a full-out bar. They're transitioning.
Yes.
That's why the bubble hasn't burst.
Yeah, diversification certainly has helped.
Yeah.
The craft brewer or the craft industry in general, whether it be the distilling or the other beer.
That's why my always question is, with breweries going forward, if you want to open a brewery, that's great, but you've got to ask yourself realistically, would it be better just to open a craft beer bar? Would it be better, are you going to have better margins? Because you already got to do the food side anyways. A lot of your customers are going to be demanding hard alcohol. Prices of producing beer are going up.
Yeah.
So it's a question you've got to ask yourself, what's the best way to make money? Because ultimately we are a business. I don't have the answer. I'm just saying things you have to ask yourself.
Indeed.
For those that might be interested in starting a brewery.
Yeah, and that's why I asked, because I know from a business standpoint, we've had a couple conversations where you've talked about the rigors of the business, the rigors of the industry, and it's always good to have another perspective on that.
Yeah, it's like I said, as the brewer owner, it's something that I always have to be cognizant of. I can't just think in terms of brewing beer. I got to think, is it going to sell? I got to think, I got to think about the cost. I mean, I got to think about my employees, and you got to factor in all those things.
So we'll kind of shift gears a little bit here. I know you're a big fan of the barrel aging process because, as I said, I see 8 barrels here. We've talked about that before.
Oh, we got 10.
You've got, okay, I just can't see the other ones.
Yeah, all of them's hiding over there.
What drew you to barrel aging?
I think what draws me the most to those type of beers is, without a doubt, I believe they're the most complex, not only the most complex beers, one of the most complex drinks in the world. The problem with complexity is that it can easily turn very wrong very fast. It's the most risky because, you don't have as much control over it. When I put something in a fermenter, stainless steel, you can essentially kill most of their microorganisms in there. You have temperature control. You can pressurize it far more than a barrel. So with the barrel, there's not a lot of control. I mean, because Brettanomyces can live quite deep into the wood. There's no temperature control. We have a little bit of temperature control for our facility, but within the barrel itself, it could. A vigorous enough fermentation, it could easily get up to 90-some degrees, which produces a massive amount of off flavors. The only sense of control we really have with our barrels is we select what microorganisms we're going to use beforehand. So we will culture up. Something that we get from, white labs or white yeast or, bootleg biology, for example.
Okay.
And that will give us a little bit of control. Hops allow us to have a little bit of control so things don't get too sour. But once that fermentation's going and once the wort is there in the barrel, I mean, it's out of your hands at that point.
Yeah, I know we were even talking this week that you were waiting to see whether you're going to be able to can one of your barrel-aged beers that were fermenting. So,
last call.
It's nearly time to wrap things up, but first, one more for the road. This episode, I'm drinking Elvis AF from BrewDog in Canal, Winchester, Ohio. Typically, I try to review beers from different brewers, but this one seemed appropriate for the season I am in. Every year, I take 6 to 8 weeks, twice a year, and I cut back my beer consumption to realign my health before summer and before the holidays. For anyone that likes the craft like I do, this can be challenging. Well, I've recently discovered the AF series from BrewDog, which gives me the hop and malt flavors I like without the extra calories and alcohol. AF stands for alcohol-free. So far, I've been really impressed with their offerings. The BrewDog website says this. This US AF exclusive has all of the grapefruit treble notes of his stronger sibling, Elvis Juice, followed by a chorus of orange and pine. Loud citrus flavors groove on a solid malt-based foundation, giving the hop aromas a stage to shine for an all-night show. 48 calories, 9 grams of carbs, vegan, gluten-reduced. This beer clocks in at 0.5% ABV. Without further delay, so as I pour this beer out into one of my favorite pint glasses from Rare Bird up in Traverse City, it pours a nice deep golden color. It's got a fine white head on it, so certainly it has a big citrus forward nose on it. I'm getting a lot of grapefruit, just really, really sharp and crisp citrus. Man, I just love that. First sip impression, that has a nice citrus hop bite to it. It's definitely a little bit more malt forward, and it's got a hoppiness that just kind of lingers. I could see myself drinking this on a hot summer day all summer long. This is a really fine example of a near beer. It's light. It's got a little bit of an effervescence that dances on the tongue. I'd give this a 4 taster out of 5 on the flight board. So BrewDog, keep doing what you're doing. Your AF series continues to be out of this world. Great alternative for those who either can't drink or don't want something heavy. Maybe they're the DD for the night. You could drink this all day, get the sense that you're drinking a session IPA. Cheers, BrewDog. If you've got a beer you'd like me to drink and describe, leave a comment on my Instagram feed. If you're a brewer and have one in mind, direct message me on Instagram and let's see what we can do. That's all for this episode of the 5 Beer Plan. With so many podcasts out there, thanks for choosing to listen to mine. Join me next time when I'll finish my thoughts on big beer buyouts, share another hop hack, and finish my conversation with Ehren Stuff from Harry Stuff Brewing. Remember to hit the subscribe button to be notified of new episodes. I'd love to hear from you, so please follow me on Instagram, 5beerplan 2022, and leave a comment to let me know what big beer acquisition was most surprising to you. Be sure to support your local breweries, choose your beers wisely, and drink them responsibly. Until next time, keep walking your ale trail and stay thirsty, my friends.